Hi viewers, welcome back to another episode of Breakfree Podcast where we talk about the business world, promote business, lifestyle, motivate and inspire people. We're also on YouTube and on Facebook, so guys please like and subscribe. And today we're at a new location in Fiala with Lezanne, property agent with Loots Coetzee. And let me talk a lot about them. Lezanne, tell the viewers who you are.
Good day, viewers. I'm Lezanne Sandan, a property practitioner from Atlantis. I work for a law firm, Loots Coetzee. They're based in Blauberg Road, Tableview, but we are allowed to work in other areas such as Atlantis, Pella, all the surrounding areas we can work.
But before we get right into the deep dive into the property industry, um, tell us a bit more about yourself. Like, where did you grow up? How was your schooling years?
Okay, so I grew up in Sherwood Park, Atlantis. I'm from Sherwood Park. Stayed there for quite a few years. Since 2015, I fell pregnant and we moved to Pella. I actually sold my parents' property in Atlantis, Sherwood Park, and they bought a property through me in Pella. So basically, I came from Atlantis. I stay now in Pella. So that is where I come from.
Yeah. So that's a confusing. You're selling it, reselling the house, the same time.
Yes, so I basically started my real estate journey in 2010, but I was registered as an agent from 2013. So basically, I first matriculated at Robinville High School. After I matriculated, I went to a business school in Cape Town where I studied for 12 months, but that is just for a normal diploma, also basic admin and IT secretarial studies. And after that, I went to go work at Today's Foods. I also worked at Builders Warehouse. That was experiences. And when I worked at Builders, I got the experience of retail, and that was basically where I told myself, I don't ever want to be in the retail because it's difficult, it's long hours, it's very minimum wage. And that is where I self motivated myself by saying, I don't want to stay in retail forever. Also, when I used to work at Today's Foods, that was in manufacturing at the local factory in Atlantis. That is where I learned the skills of working with people. You work with a lot of people because you work on a line of manufacturing where the product comes from this line to your line, and that is where I also told myself, but I don't want to work in a factory or manufacturing or be part of a production. I rather want to work with people in the office, and that is why I did the studies what I did. After I worked in Builders and Today's, I got an interview at a real estate company, which was that time Atlantis Realtors. That is where I started my journey. I also started as a admin person first, which I thought generally that is actually what I want to do. I just want to be in basic admin behind a PC. But then the mentor I had at that time, he basically asked me this one question: do you want to be this little girl from Atlantis forever? And that is what changed my whole life. I basically said to myself that is not what I want to do. I actually want to be more of a person, be more of a productive person in the sense of I want to help people. I want to grow myself, and that is where he gave me the opportunity to basically go into real estate. He helped me with my studies. He helped me buy my first car. So the journey just swifted from there, and that is where I started. It was very challenging at that time because I was only 20 years old. And for me, it was like, will people really take me seriously? Because here's this little girl gonna sell my property that's worth a few thousand rands, a couple of thousand rands, 100,000 rands. So I didn't have the self confidence at that time, and I also didn't have the basic knowledge of real estate. But that is where it grew. The more I got into it, the more I went with my mentor to the properties, and he was a commercial seller. He sold factories. So I met basically a lot of the factory owners from Atlantis, and that is where it grew. it just grew into something more of a, I wanted to be part of the community. I wanted to be part of everything that's happening. And when I heard people's stories, like, it was really sad for me because I didn't know that even the house that I stayed in with my parents, I didn't realize that it was a council property. So that is how a lot of things changed for me, and I learned a lot of things because I never knew that we're staying in a council property. I thought it was our house, it was my parents' house. So, but here when I started in real estate, I actually realized that this is not my parents' house, it belongs to the municipality where they still need to pay it off before it can get transferred onto their names. So it was a whole process, it was a whole journey of learning and experiencing new things. And but that is where my love for property grew because I learned how people go through their daily lives with the different circumstances of living in a council property, staying in someone's backyard. So the journey really just escalated into more of I put my emotion into the people, and I try to actually put myself into these circumstances so that I can understand what they're going through, and how life is just navigating them to these different angles of staying in a council property, staying in this one's house, renting, and all of that. I didn't knew these things up until I got into the property world. So yeah.
That's our life story. So but at least you had a mentor to show you the ropes. But what if someone don't have that access?
Yeah, so it's very important to when you start this journey, you first have to do a lot of research. You have to do research on how it works, on who to connect with, and basically what is also very important that you need to be a registered, a licensed property practitioner in order to actually start. So you start at a company who's you can start at any real estate company, but then you need to know who your mentor is going to be. You can choose whoever's in the company that's going to be your mentor, but it also has to be a licensed property practitioner or a principal agent, as we call it. So that person need to mentor you and to take you through the journey. That person needs to show you the ropes in, like, what do you do when you first see a client, what type of questions to ask, and that is also part of forming. You do, they call it an internship. You do your first 12 months internship. After that, you do your profile on your books and your actual studies. So it is a journey to get into real estate, but it's just you also have to have the love for working with people and also connecting with this with the industry.
So if you meet a client, what is the questions that you ask basically?
Basically, the first question when you as an agent go to a client, the first question you ask is, are you the seller? Are you the registered owner of the property? Because you can't just sell the property for someone who's not the registered owner. So there is a process to follow.
Because I was thinking now, what about like you get this the scams as well that's going on? Can you tell the viewers what to look out for?
Okay, what is very important that a real estate agent need to have a real estate license. We call it the FFC, and we are registered with the Property Practitioners Board. So with them, you need to register. When you get to a company, they will help you register yourself onto with this company. So you need to have a FFC. I normally joke around with my clients. I tell them we are like cars. We need to be real licensed. So for us, with cars, it's every year. With us, it's like every third year. You pay a nice fee. I think it's about 3,000 rand now to relicense yourself. So you need to pay that fee and you need to be registered with them. So people need to ask the property practitioner, are you licensed to be an agent? Where is your license? You do get a certificate that you can show to your clients. There's a number that you can also go on to Google and just type in the PPRA, and then you check if the agent has a license.
Because that is very important because
That is very important because anyone can just say, take a photo of anyone's house and I'm renting it or I'm selling it or whatever, then you're not the actual agent. But also, you can be an intern agent and sell houses, but you still get a license to be an intern as well and to be a full status agent like myself.
because The other thing is also, if you look at property and where this one house belongs to the the mother and the father left it for the brothers. What is the positive and the
Yeah.
negative about it?
Okay, so when people leave a property behind and they passed on, that means it becomes a later state. And the later state is when anyone dies. So, say for instance, the mother or the father or both of them dies, it becomes a later state property, and therefore you need to have the death certificate, all those relevant documents, and you need to take it to the master's office. You need to register the death by the master's office. If there's no testament, last will and testament is very important when you are married. Let me just get to your question. I just want to get back to your question. So when you are married and before you pass on, make sure there's a last will and testament. That last will and testament will tell you exactly what needs to happen to your assets. So, say for instance, you have 5 children. You are married in community of property. You, both of you, as the married people, you have the right to all the assets. But if you pass on, you need to leave a last will and testament to say what needs to happen to your assets. So that is where the importance come in to the people who stays behind. You can't just go and fight for the property if you're not on the wall. If you're not on the wall, you have no say. Even if you was a child, a biological child or a adopted child, if you're not on the wall, you can't claim anything. You must be on the will legally. But if there's no last will and testament, then all the children, adopted own children, they have access to the assets or they have a right to inherit. So therefore you become inheritance of the assets that's left behind, and therefore it needs to be split equally. But say, for instance, there's two parties that's married. The one passes on. There's only one left behind with the children. Now the children wants to fight the one that's left behind. Like say, for instance, is the husband or the wife. You sometimes get children who wants to fight over their parents. Okay, my father left me this or my mother left me this, but then there's still one party left. That party gets majority of the assets, and the children, whoever is left behind, the children, they get the portions that's after the person gets the, like say for instance the wife or the husband, after the wife or the husband gets their portion, then they get the portion that's left behind. So you can't just go and fight for a portion. It's my mom, it was my dad, it was I did this, I carried them, I took them to the hospital. Whatever you normally get is the children who fights for the assets is left behind, because um, the grandparents, or sometimes the grandparents leave for the grandchildren the house behind. But if it's on a last will and testament, it is final.
So that
But
is
if it's said with a mouth, I leave it to you, Marshall, that
like your
means
wife.
nothing. It must be on a last will and testament, signed by a commission of oaths.
So it's very deep because it
Yes.
is very important because like you said, if there's not a wall in place, it's going to be very difficult. And can you explain to us, was there a situation like that already what to deal with?
I've had quite a few situations where there's maybe children. Some of the children feel like, okay, I did this for mom and dad, and I did that for them, and I gave them this, or I even bought the car maybe. But then it doesn't matter what you did as a child. What matters is what goes on in the last will and testament. That is what is final. So you can't overrule that. And sometimes you even get the times where there's a fake will and last testament, but that will be determined by the masters of the High Court. So they will scrutinize the last will and testament to check if it's legit. Because you also do get the children that feels like, I don't want my brother to get because my brother have a house in Avondale and I stay in Section C. Maybe I'm just making an example. I'm just not saying that's real life, but just making an example. Because sometimes children also get jealous of each other. Like, no, Marshall, you already have everything, so you don't need to inherit
Why?
anything. You don't need to. But if mom and dad said, all my children need to inherit equally, in the last will and testament, then it's fine now. But if not, you can't go and fight over because you feel your brother or sister has enough or they don't deserve. Because sometimes you do have that attitude of, no, this one don't deserve that. I feel I deserve it more because I have less. It's all about the lost will and testament. It's a sad story because in the end, sometimes you do get those children that inherit something, but then they didn't deserve it according to us, not according to law, according to us. We feel like, yo, Marshall, you didn't deserve it because you didn't even look after mommy and daddy, or you stayed in Northern Cape and I stayed here with mommy and daddy. You didn't even give a call or a WhatsApp or whatsoever. Sometimes you just need to take out the emotion and just look at the facts because there's no point in fighting for something that's not given to you or you. And what I personally feel as an agent is that you have no right to claim anything in any case because you have your own new life that you need to build. That's why you have a proper opportunity to build your own life. You don't need to fight for mommy and daddy's inheritance or property or car or clothes. It doesn't need to be like that. You don't have to be greedy. You can build your own thing. Just follow whatever you need to follow, do what you have to do. But that's the sad reality of people fighting, and that makes our job difficult because now I get to a client's house, and maybe one of the sisters or brothers informed us as agents, okay, come and do a valuation. Now you come to the door, the person who invited you for the valuation is good. They take you around, and then the other one comes from the back room and say that no, this house is not going to be sold and this and that, and you can't just come here. Who sent you? And Yancy is not the owner. We're just following the protocol that we need to follow. If that person is indeed inheritant and that person is like say part of, there's no will, but that person is the biological child, then that person has the right to get outside information, like from a professional property practitioner, to get the real information to share with the rest of the brothers and sisters. But sometimes that creates a whole big scenario. It makes our life difficult. Then we can't do our job properly. Then they feel maybe like, no, you connecting with that person, so you're taking sides. We can't take sides. We're professionals. We're just there to show you the process and help you in the right direction. We can't choose sides because sides won't pay our commission. Doing our job right will pay the commission and referral business. So we are not there to choose sides. We are there to do our business. The same goes when you get a divorced property where people get divorced, then the one party feels like this, the other party feels like that, the one don't want to sell, the other one want to sell. But we following the process. If there is a divorce settlement that states, the court states that the house needs to be sold and the proceeds need to be divided between the two, why are you fighting? The court of law states that the property needs to be sold. We just need to do our job in order to do the valuation to get the property sold. Doesn't matter who instructs us to do so, whether it be the one party who wanted to divorce or the other one who didn't want to divorce. The fact is that we are there to do our job. You are fighting, and we have very much compassion for people who get divorced because we are married people. And I normally feel sad for people when they get divorced because it's a sad situation. You were in union now, and now you're fighting. So our job basically is to just keep everything calm and cool and let the process flow legally. It's not there. We're not there to take sides, and that is sometimes also things that makes our life difficult.
But since we're talking about that is in community of property.
Yes.
Do you think it's better if people are married outside of community of property, especially when it comes to assets or houses?
Yeah, that's a very sensitive topic. For a lot of people, that's a sensitive topic because I feel, from a business point of view, I feel it's better to get married out of community of property. That has got nothing to do. Just viewers, just listen. That has got nothing to do with the fact that you're gonna leave me or this one is gonna leave me. No, from a business point of view, it's just better to get married out of community of property. That is to protect your assets from, not from each other, but from anything that can happen. You can get you can go into a debt review or whatever. Then your assets is not touched. So you can't. You must, the thinking must be logical and business, not from a point of view from
Of love.
feelings of love. Yeah, you're gonna leave me, so that's why you want to marry me out of community. It's not about that. So it's important to know these things, especially for the young people who still getting married. It's very important to know that you can't just decide when you married in community. I know there's a lot of people getting married younger and younger. So what happens is sometimes people have this, I'm married, I'm getting married as a young couple, and now I'm the one with a higher income, you are maybe the one with a less income. Now you feel more empowered and entitled to the property. So now you get divorced, now you say, but I was the one earning the most and doing the most and paying the most. And so there's a lot of things that you need to think and consider when you buy a property, especially when you're married, or even when you're not married yet and buying a property together. There's also things that can happen. You can separate, God forbid, you can separate, and then you still have to transfer the other half to the other person, because that's also a process. It's not like you get divorced and then the property is mine. No, there's a whole process. It has to go through court. But if you like buy a property together and you're not married yet, the property you can't just give it to the other person. You must transfer it, and that costs money. To
Yeah,
get
that's
married
so
costs
true.
money, to get divorced costs money, to transfer property costs money, to die costs money. So everything in life is money. So yeah.
Yeah. But if you look at the community, what stories can you tell about the community? Because I see you also like in the public figure.
Yeah, there's quite a few things that I can say about the community. When we actually started, when we changed from companies, we really started to get more involved in the community. We like doing community things. Like there was once upon a time where we just handed out Easter eggs to the less fortunate creatures. We've done stuff like that. We even went to Orion as well to go and share stuff with them. So we love to get involved in the community, and especially community projects and stuff like that, because it's important to be part of the community. It's important to gain the loyalty of the community, to gain the trust of the community. You can't just be there as a business person to make money. Money sustains us, but where do you get the money? From getting clients. And where do you get clients? In your community. So that is a very important thing for me. To be part of the community is very important. Even if we don't make money out of a community project, you gain the support of the community, and that is what really sticks with me, because that is actually the main reason why we haven't moved out of the community, like in business wise, why we haven't went to go open a office in other areas, because we want to be part of our community and we want to uplift our community. And there's one thing that I actually want to imprint in our community is the fact that local businesses can be more, they can grow more if you have the support of the community. And that is why we are basically working in this community, Atlantis, Mamaripala, and some of the surrounding areas. We focus on our community because we don't want people to go to other agencies outside. We want to give them the product that they're looking for outside. And that is one thing that sticks with me, because I see there's a lot of people saying, not all of them, but there's a lot of people saying that, yeah, but we don't get the service here what we get in Tableview. They normally have that quote.
Mm.
And to me, that is because the more you support local, the more local businesses will grow and be equipped to get the same quality that Tableview has. I'm just making an example, viewers. I'm not dissing Tableview. I'm just making the example, because our people normally say, I go to outside shops. I'm just making an example of shops because there's better quality, better this and that.
With the
But
service.
our community can improve if we have the support. Maybe we don't have enough money to sustain the local cleaners of Atlantis. So that's why it has to go outside. So there's a whole thing about community. Community can be very broad, and we can actually grow ourselves in the community by supporting each other. I love supporting local. I do my nails locally. I do my hair locally. I do my hair at the School of Skills. I do my nails at the local girl here in Sherwood Park. So I support local business because I feel we need to support each other in order for us to grow. So the more we get support from the community, the more we have to give to the community. We can't give if we don't have. and we don't have because we don't get the support of the community. And that's a very important thing to me. I want our community to grow in order for us not to be able to say that we have to go there and there and there. I can also open up a local coffee shop, but will I get the support? So that is the thing why people also go outside to open businesses outside of the area, because we don't get the local support. And that is a very important thing. There's a lot of agents outside. I'm not saying they're not allowed to come in. What I'm saying is, what I'm suggesting to our community is support local so that we can grow and so that we can give you better quality and a better product, especially when it comes to properties as well. I know a lot of people or clients compare our properties to Table View. They would say, I don't want to pay R1 million for a property here because I can get a better quality product in Table View. Right, you're going to get a better quality product. You're going to get the views of Blauberg Road or whatever, the sea. You're going to get the malls. But here, you're going to get a bigger earth so that you can put in your own pool, so that you can expand your property. You're going to get better, you're going to get a better product here because you're going to get bigger. There you will get less with the surroundings, but here you're going to get more in order for you to expand to your dreams. Because sometimes staying that side, you must think of the rates. What is the rates in that area? It's high. Yeah, you still get rates of under 100 rand. Believe you me, you get rates of under 100 rand. Most of our areas in Atlantis is it's rebated. I'm talking about the rates. Don't come for me with the electricity and the water. That's another story. So I'm just talking about rates on its own. So you will get a better product that side, right enough, but you can get a good product if you I get so frustrated because they only show the bad sides of our community. They don't show the Robinville with the nice properties, the Avondale with the nice this, even nice properties in extension 13. There's nice properties in extension 12. There's nice properties in Sherwood Park. And you get a lot of good products because you just see the outside, you don't see the inside. And that to me is like you clouding Atlantis or the surrounding community with all the bad and negative, like the crime, the this and the that. You don't show the good side. There is a good side. I've seen beautiful properties in Atlantis, properties that I feel I would stay in. You do get your properties that's not so nice, not meaning in a bad way, but that I know there might be a reason. People can't afford paint, people can't afford to make their properties nice because of a lack of income, or they have children, too much children. There's a lack of housing in our area. So there's a lot of factors that comes into when it comes to housing and property and sales. But you just have to be part of your community. Be interested in what goes on in the area, not just be interested in sharing a Skinner story and a bad thing that's happened. Be interested in sharing the good side also, because that is why you must just check it out. There's a lot of outside investors. Why do outside investors come and invest here? Because they see the potential. If you look at our area is based in an industrial site. We have a very big industrial site, which Malmesbury don't have. But Malmesbury have a lot of nice shops, a lot of nice things. They have a car dealership. We don't have a car dealership, but there is other things that grows our area, but nobody hears about it because we only share the bad. If you go to Facebook, you just see people sharing the death, death, death. It's sad, I know. But why don't you share our post that's about property? Why don't you share our properties that's for sale, that's nice? I know it's a sad thing. You must share to get people involved in knowing about the social statistics in the area, but show the positive side as well. Share our post, like our post, look at our content, go and check it out and share that positivity as well, because there's a lot of things that goes on, but people don't see that. They only see the realistic side of the bad things, but they don't see the realistic side of the good things. Did you know how many people buy properties cash in Atlantis? Can I tell you that secret? There's a lot of cash buyers in Atlantis. And Believe me, it's not provident funds. It's not money that they've inherited. It's cash money. I
Oh.
don't mean cash like here in front of you. I mean in the bank. So there is a lot of things that's going on in Atlantis that's positive, but people are not aware because they only focus on the bad side. They only focus on the bad things. Like I can also speak about the I speak a lot, so just bear with
Yeah, the
me.
viewers understand.
I can also speak on the thing where it comes to property practitioners, agents. They call us agents. So there's a lot of things that's going around about agents. Agents soek net geld. Agents wil net groot commissie. Agents, do you know how long we wait for our money? Do you know how hard we need to work for our money? I know there's a lot of scams. There's a lot of agents who portray to be good and agents that's registered, but then they're not. They just portraying that. But that's why you need to have your research. That's why click on my profile. Just check out if you see any negative comments on any of my posts. I can guarantee you won't see negative reviews. I can guarantee that because I know myself. I'm an honest agent. I'm a reliable agent. I do what I'm supposed to do. I don't do it just for the money. Yes, I wait long for my money. Yes, I have struggles at times. It's not just the easy flowing because a lot of people come into the industry and they think, okay, it's a lot of money. Oh yeah, to be an agent you get 50,000 or 100,000 and commission. That's not the case. Have you asked SARS how much they take from us?
Yo, it's a
25% plus if you don't have a tax directive. Just calculate 25% of a 50,000 rand. That's somebody else's salary. So I'm not boasting about the salary. I'm just trying to get people to know and understand that being an agent is not just a big commission.
yes.
Being an agent is not just the nice side of it. You sit with realistic things that's happening around you that you really need to face. And sometimes it's difficult. I'm just gonna share with you this story. The one of the properties that I sold a few years back. I'm not gonna mention the address, and so I sold the property, and this client, the husband, he was literally swearing at me.
Yo,
You're not gonna sell my if and house, this and house and that and house, literally swear at me. And when I went back to the office, that was my first company that I was with, I literally went to go cry at the office because I couldn't handle the fact that there's somebody who swayed at me and I don't know this. My husband never swayed at me. My parents never swayed at me. So it was something new to me. And I didn't know that you're going to have to deal with different types of people. You deal with people that's angry. You deal with people that's sad. You deal with people that's emotional. You deal with people that just came from a difficult background or from a difficult situation. So you have to be an emotional person. There was somebody told me one day that um jy moet haar op jou tande het om in die industrie te wees. Yes, sure you do. But if you are a real person that's open and honest, you don't have to have hair on your teeth to be in the
maybe like
industry. You have to be a real person. Be a open and
humanity
honest.
and
Yes, yes. You have to be passionate about people and their circumstances. That is what draws people to you. And if you don't have that, people are not going to trust you. People are not going to take you serious because you're just in it for the money. And that is not how you grow. You grow when you have the passion for people. And our business is basically based on referrals. So the more people refer you, the more people will come back to you. I've had clients that I've sold one property 5 times already. The same house 5 times because the people I sell it to sells again through me. The people I sell it to sells again through me. So that is how the business works. And it's not about you selling 100 properties a month. It's good for financial reasons for yourself. But you must look at what did you really sell? Did you give a proper service to the client? Was it just for the money because of the stats you need to have on your books, or was it truly to help someone get into a house? There was one time I had a client that's been in a Wendy for 10 years,
yo,
and their first property they purchased through me, it was a joyous moment. It was beautiful moment because I can't explain the joy I feel when I put someone in a house because it's such a beautiful thing because you see the struggle in our area for the lack of housing. And when you get to a person, the point to, where a person gets to the point where they're buying a house, it's a nice thing. And that's why I urge the young people to get into property as soon as possible. Don't wait till you one day on your own. While you're in your mother's house, you can buy a property. If you're working, you can buy a property. You can use us to manage the property for you. The property gets paid off while you're staying in your parents' house. Don't focus on the Nike shoes, the Adidas t-shirt, the what is it done now? Red bats. The bats is not gonna help you buy a property. Get away from the name brands. I go to Choice Clothing. I go to the Geelwinkel opposite Pick and Pay. They have beautiful clothes. I wear my clothes. I don't wear name brands. Sometimes I spoil myself, but the importance is to get a credit score, get a life, leave the partying and the GTI. That is the first thing that young people buy. They buy a nice car for themselves. I know it's nice to be mobile. Sometimes your job requires you to be mobile, but it's important to get the right head start from the beginning. When you're done with school, go do what you want to do, but get into your credit profile. Get your credit profile right. You can even get your credit profile right while you're studying. Sometimes you get a stipend. Go and open a small account, not a clothing retail account. Get yourself a decent phone or get yourself something that you really need, not something that you just want, so that you can build a credit profile. The moment you build a credit profile, the moment that's the time where your journey actually starts to be able to buy a house. I've been in a situation in my younger life. I'm not that old, I'm just mentioning it. In my younger life where I had a Edgar's account. I was blacklisted and I couldn't buy a property. And I was so sad at the time because my husband was able to buy a property, but we wanted to buy it together. And we couldn't. We had to wait till my records was clean until I could buy a property. And if I had done the things right when I started with this journey in real estate 2010, I would have had 10 properties by now. But I wanted the Billabong from Edgar's that time. I wanted the Nikes and the Roxy and the what. So it was unnecessary. I didn't gain anything from that name brands. I gained a blacklisted profile. That is what I gained. So be wise when you spend, be wise when you get your first job. It's very important to start right so that you don't. I feel like let's break the generational curses of staying in the backyard, staying in mommy's room for 10 years, getting married and staying in the room, laying on the couch. Break the generational curse. Start your journey early enough so that you don't have to form part of that circumstances of waiting for a Coetzee that's so small and then you also complain. You don't have to be part of the statistics. You can be a person that breaks generational curses because I feel personally it's a generational curse that goes on because you get so used to staying in the backyard, staying in your mommy's room that you don't feel like to get out of your comfort zone. And don't get me wrong, I know there's no jobs, but what is stopping you from starting your own job? What is stopping you? I walked into a lady one day on the center. She was asking me for money, and I politely asked her if I can speak to her. She said, yes, I spoke to her. She asked me for money. I said, I'm not going to give you money. I'm going to give you some advice. You are standing here in front of Shoprite. The next person you want to ask money for, ask that person to buy you a mop. The next person you ask to buy you a broom. The person after that, you don't ask money, you ask buy me a small handy, buy me a cheap dishwasher because I want to start my own cleaning business. I want to go clean Lezanne's house or Marcel's house. Even if you start with cleaning your family's houses, sometimes people just feel like I want to ask someone for money. It's not about just asking money. You can start somewhere. It's not impossible. It's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. the next person just gonna buy you a broom because you're gonna resell it if you if you're not in your right mind. But I'm just saying, start somewhere and believe that you can start somewhere so that you can be able to start and be able to buy yourself a property and not wait for waiting list, the housing list. The
You say wait
database is
long.
50 years behind. So you're going to wait till forever. You're going to be old when you get to your house. So why not start? Give yourself a head start in advance. Don't wait for the inheritance or mommy or daddy's money. It's not even going to be enough by the time you realize that you need to buy your own property, because then it's too late. If I think back when I started with real estate, the houses was 200,000 rand. The first house I sold cash was 500,000 rand. And that was, to me, it felt like millions that time. That was that time. So today, houses are a million rand and it's normal. So for what are you waiting? For your last days? Or for the days when you get something? Or for when you win the lotto? Don't believe in that stuff. Believe in yourself and start to do it now. Don't wait for one day. So yeah, that is a lot.
This give like quite a views, a lot of people, but I didn't even need to ask questions. It feels like I was also a viewer. I was just thinking.
Yeah, so
But it's the point that you put is very valid, and especially like your credit score. It's important. So let's say someone is working in a retail, he wants to buy a house. Let's say the salary. Let's make it realistically, which is 6,000. How can he get into a property or
okay, so with the people that's earning a income like that, you can apply for the FLISP. The FLISP is also there to help you. So say for instance you earn 6,000 rand and you do a pre-assessment, because we normally start with a pre-assessment. The pre-assessment gives you an idea of, do you qualify to buy a property or do you not qualify. So it will be one of two outcomes. If we do the pre-assessment, it will say, okay, for that income you maybe qualify for 50,000. I'm just making an example. It's not given facts. I'm just making an example. So for instance you qualify for 50,000 or 100,000 with that salary. Now you can check what FLISP you qualify for. Say for instance you qualify for FLISP of 100,000. Now you can add the 100,000 and the 50,000 that you get from the bank or the bond. You can add that together. You can maybe buy a property of 150,000 rand, or you can buy a plot of 150,000 rand. Then you have something.
to build on?
Because I know people feel like my income is too less, I have too much debt. It's not for you to decide. Come to us and let's do the pre-assessment. Let's take you through the journey. We are there to rehabilitate buyers and sellers on their financials when it comes to buying and selling a property, so that we can know exactly where you are. And say for instance we do get a client that don't qualify, because when we do the pre-assessment, it's going to either be positive or negative. When it's a positive, we know what to look out for. We will look out for you for a property in within your budget. Say for instance, you don't qualify. Now it's a negative. Now you feel, yo, I don't qualify. So what do I do now? I'm just gonna leave it. I'm not gonna bother anymore. You don't have to do that. We rehabilitate you through the process until you get to qualifying for a property. We're gonna tell you, okay, look here, Marshall, your income is only 10,000 rand, your debt is 5,000 rand, there's too little income left to get to a bond, or your credit score is bad. But do A, B, and C in order to get your credit up to a point where it's I think the basic credit score that you now have to have is, I think it's about 650. It was 620 that time. Now 650 and upwards. Between 650 and 700, your credit score need to be. So if you don't qualify, we help you. We say, look here, you don't have any debt. So we can't, there's no credit profile for you. So go and take out a small loan, but to do something positive, not to buy a car or not to buy shoes and clothes. Buy something that you will need for your house one day. Buy a washing machine or a refrigerator or something. But don't do bad debt. You can do good debt in order for you to build your profile. So then we take you through the process if you don't qualify at that moment. So there's no thing like, I don't qualify, I'm not going to worry.
Now
Go through the
what if
process.
the person was like, in your case, you were blacklisted?
So if you are blacklisted, you need to also get your profile ready. So you need to go back to the to the people who blacklisted you. So in my case, it was Edgar. So I went to back to Edgar. I asked him, "What do I owe you?" Right, I owe you 5,000 rand or 8,000 rand or 20 or whatever amount you owe them. You ask them if you can pay it off. If you are in the position to pay it off completely, you can. Then only after you paid off your debt completely, they will uplift your status. So then you have to go through the process. And the other thing, a very bad thing that people go through is debt review. That thing restricts you until you are done with the debt review. And debt review normally is 5 years. I don't know. It depends on what you arranged or yeah. So that is also a thing because I also had a client that bought a property through us, was approved, fully approved. We gave them early occupation, and then over the phone he went on debt review, but he wasn't aware that he's actually agreeing to debt review, which I also understand. So he went to through he was phoned, and they put him on debt review while we were busy with the transfer process. He was already approved by the bank. He was already moving into the property on early occupation, paying occupational rent, and then he went under debt review. And when it came to close to registration, they do a extra check before they registered onto your property, onto your name. They do a final check of affordability and financial and stuff. So they saw that he's under debt review, and they retracted the whole bond, and he had to move out of the property that he basically bought. So there's a lot of things that you need to know, that you have to, there's do's and don'ts when it comes to buying a property, and even when it comes to selling a property. So you have to equip yourself with the right knowledge, and you have to deal with the right agent who's gonna inform you about the right agent. Yes, a registered agent who's gonna inform you on the right information, because I know there's a lot of lack of knowledge in our area, and that's why I want to be part of the community, because of the lack of knowledge of when it comes to buying and selling a property, when it comes to owning, when it comes to inheriting a property, how do I get it on my name? So there's a lot of things that you need to know, but it's important to not listen to Johnny and Sunny's stories, because everyone's story is unique. Marshall, you may be inherited property, but now I bought a property that was inherited. So the stories change with everyone. Nobody's story is the same. Everyone's story is unique. So we handle your transaction based on your circumstances. We can't handle it the same way Johnny's story was handled, because Johnny was maybe misinformed by an agent or by a seller or by a buyer, whoever. So it's important to get the right knowledge before you make a decision when you want to sell a property. Also, what I normally ask the person when you want to sell a property, where are you going? I know it's not my business to know where you're going, but it's important for me that you're not homeless when you sell your property, because that's another thing. Then I'm stuck with you in the house, and then you can't move. The new people need to move in. It's a whole thing. So you need to sort out yourself before you make the decision of buying and selling a property, because you're gonna end up on my neck. You're gonna be on my neck asking me, but I don't have a property now. Where am I going? You were supposed to tell me from the beginning, I don't know where I'm going. Can you please advise? What will you suggest? What do I do? How does it work? When I want to sell my property, where do I go? If I want to buy another property with this property's proceeds, how do I go about? There is something such as a simultaneous transfer. People don't know these things because it sounds weird. It sounds too much. It sounds big. Too much information. So it's important to ask the right questions, and that is why we are there for. And I know people feel there's a certain stigma around agents, but that is where we come in. That is where we need to inform you as the client, that this is the process, this is what you need to do in order to buy again, or if you want to sell your property. Sometimes there's sellers that wants to sell their property because of a lack of finances. Now they want to downscale, or either they want to downscale or upgrade. So whatever your circumstances is at that stage, that is what we work with. But you need to be You need to be transparent with us so that we can work out a plan of action for you if you don't have your own plan. Because I know you do get this sophisticated clients that tells us, okay, I want to sell my property, and that's it. The rest is up to me. I will handle myself. I will handle the other property that I'm buying or whatever. But you need to be transparent so that we don't end up in a situation that it becomes uncomfortable for you. Then this relationship becomes difficult. Then it becomes tense. You are not happy with the agent, then you go to the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. But if you transparent from the beginning, we will know how to handle your situation. We will exactly know, and we will exactly know what to inform you about because of your situation. As I've mentioned before, you get council properties, you get divorce properties, you get late estate properties. You get a lot of different properties and the type of transactions. You get a cash deal, you get a bonded deal, you get a deal where you have to get from a provident fund money. So there's different scenarios and different types of transactions, but you need to be transparent. You can't keep it back because then we're not going to know how to deal with your situation. Now it comes to a point where you didn't understand something or didn't know something, then you're going to blame the agent, but the agent didn't tell me this. But you weren't transparent to say, you told me you have cash, but now I find out the cash is coming from the Provident Fund, which is not cash. It's your Provident Fund money. Cash is when you have the cash ready in the bank. Cash is not when you sell your property, then you have the cash. That is not cash. Cash is when you have the cash in the bank. It's already in your bank account. So there's a different scenarios on different transactions, and there's also different time frames for the different transactions. A basic normal transaction takes around about 3 to 4 months if everything goes smooth. A cash transaction can go smooth within 8 weeks. So a municipal transfer takes up to 8 months and longer. A latest state transfer takes up to 3 years. So there's different scenarios with different transactions, but you as the client needs to be transparent with the agent. But okay, I understand sometimes you don't want to give too much information, especially when you don't trust the person. But that's why do your research before you appoint an agent. Do your research about the agent so that you can know, is this a trustworthy agent? Or ask people around, have you heard about Marshall? Do you know Natasha? Do you know this one? What was your experience? You don't have to badmouth the person, but ask around so that you can know, are you dealing with the right person? Because now you give all your information, then it ends up with the wrong person, and then it's a scam. Because we've had scam properties with rentals, especially with the rentals. So what happens is people take our photos and they save it onto their profile and they share it. Then they say, okay, you need to secure a 3,000 rand deposit in order to get the key. I've personally experienced that because one of my properties was scammed. But luckily, because I have a very good communication with my buyers, sellers, and tenants, they informed me to say that here's a person saying that they now coming to view the property, but you didn't inform us, and I wasn't comfortable with this person. So you have to have the discernment to know that this is not the right thing. So there's a lot of things that comes into factor when it comes to property. But because there's a lack of knowledge, that's why we as agents are there to inform you. But if you don't ask, we won't know what you don't know. We will only know what you know when you tell us what you know. So, yeah.
I want to know, when you guys sell a property, do you actually go at some point back to that person to see if everything is fine?
Yes, so that is called after service. That is called after service. So what we do is when the whole process is done, we love photos, we love exposure, we love videos, we love people taking photos of us. So what we normally do is we do a handover of a property, and afterwards we will check in maybe to ask, how are you staying, how was the first night, and how was the housewarming. Sometimes people do have housewarming. Sometimes people even invite us. Natasha had a very nice housewarming where there was platters of sushi, which is part of my favorite food. So yeah, so sometimes we also feel special because sometimes people show gratitude. We don't expect it from people because we do it with the love, but sometimes it's nice when you see people really appreciate what you've done for them. And we normally do a photo shoot, I call it a photo shoot, with a handover where we hand over the keys, take some photos, post it, and just also show our appreciation to the buyers and sellers. So we do check in with people afterwards to say, ask how was the stay, or how was the first night, or how do you feel the area is. Sometimes I had a client that told me that they actually don't like the area, so they actually wants to resell, but not now, in the near future. So that is why it's important to show the necessary respect to the clients, and show that you have passionate for the client. Because I was open minded to that comment where the client told me that she's not actually happy in the house anymore because of the elements and the surroundings and stuff. And I was happy to say that I know that that is how you feel, but you can upgrade to a better area, or to a area that you prefer. So that is the type of things that you need to do. You need to stay in contact, and I like staying in contact and keeping people's contact on my phone, so that I can have contact in future. Also, that people can contact me back in future, because our business is based on referrals.
I want to know when since we talk, I know this is going to be a financial question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you qualify for 200,000, it's your maximum. Do you tell the client to take the whole amount, or
Yeah, so sometimes people, that is why we do the pre assessment, as I've mentioned. So the pre assessment might come back and say, okay, you qualify for 200,000. But if you feel, okay, no, I don't want to buy for 200,000, I would rather buy for 150,000, then you can. But that doesn't mean that the bank is going to give you the balance. So the bank won't just give you the balance. You have to send in a quotation to say, okay, I want to improve my property. I want to add on an entertainment area. I want to add on a garage. Then you have to send in quotations. They will send out a revaluator to come and reevaluate the property to say if you can get that extra funds for the property. But when you buy a property for the first time, they won't just give you the extra money. When you buy the property, and at the later stage, I think after a year, so you can apply for a second bond to also do improvements and stuff. So you don't have to take the full amount that they give you the first time.
what were you in a situation where, like I know you mentioned that with tenants, when let's say I buy a property and I'm renting it out, they use you as an agent. And some of the people that don't want to pay, what do you do in this
Yeah,
situation?
so we basically do sales, we do rentals, we do valuations. So when it comes to the rental side of the business, we do property management, and then we also do procurement rental. So when we manage the property, we collect the rent, we make sure the maintenance is up to date, all of that. But it's very rare that we have clients that don't pay. That's where it comes in your communication, the type of relationship you have with your client, and the type of relationship that you have with your landlord. So you must be a very good person that's very good with communicating and with dealing with clients. So we don't really have clients that don't pay. We maybe had one or two, but then they make arrangements and they get up to date. We don't have clients that don't pay for months, because I know that's a lot of times the cases with people telling us, yo, my client didn't pay for 3 months. I've heard people staying in houses for years that didn't pay, but then people don't know what to do, and people don't know how to follow the process. You can't just kick someone out, you have to follow the court procedures. So you have to go and open a case, you have to go and report it. It's a whole procedure. You have to give people written notice before you can actually kick a person out. You can't just say you didn't pay, you can be kicked out. You must give formal notice, informal. There must always be formal communication. I know WhatsApp is a very good communication
To
channel, but it's not as effective as a formal written notice, because it's not really, you're not building a case on WhatsApp. You must build a case on formal communication. So it's important to have the right thing. So when you get a tenant, you must credit vet the tenant. You must check the references. If the tenant says that I've stayed with Iris or with Natasha or with whoever, credit check that, and go back to the reference. Go check how long did the person rent there. how much did the person pay. And sometimes you also get where people, the families grow. So that is information that you have to have beforehand. I'm planning to get more children. I know it's a weird question, but you have to know so that you can know that the family is gonna grow, or your mommy or daddy is gonna come stay with you or whatever. So you need to have the right thing from the start. You need to ask the right questions and check out the client before you place the client in a property.
Yeah, it's a lot of information.
As you say, property rentals and evaluated. So, for let's say for potential buyer that wants to sell their property, what would you suggest or advice you would give for this person to get the most out of the property? What do you think they should add? You said earlier about painting or construction.
Yes.
What do you think is the number one thing people can do to get property to live property?
Okay, that's a very good question because that is something that we sometimes also struggle with in our area when it comes to selling a property. When a person wants to sell a property, they have to get the property ready for selling. So I'm ready for selling in the state that declutter. Give it a nice decent paint. It doesn't have to be Dulux, it can be Plascon. So paint your property, declutter, get rid of all the waste that's around in your yard. Because I know first impressions last when it comes to selling a property. Because when you get to a property and you maybe see a property on the internet, now you get to the house, now it doesn't look the same, and you get now the feeling that yo, this property looks so nice on the internet, but that is because of the quality of the pictures. So then you get to the property and it's not so nice. So that is very important when you want to sell your property. Declutter, try to do it a basic paint. If you can't paint, clean the walls like a scrubber, use a nice decent scrubber or sugar soap. Clean the walls, clean your property, declutter a bit. I know a lot of the older people like to keep their stuff for a very long time. So when you get to a person's house, then they always have these old things that's been standing there for very long. Try to even sell the things that you don't need in order to buy that paint so that you can get the most out of your property. And even if you sometimes people can't afford to build on, even if you put a nice decent carport on, you don't have to build a garage. You can maybe put a facade on or a decent carport. There's little things that you can do to get the most, but it must be done decent. Don't just do it quick because I want more. You must do it also decent. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can be affordable but decent. There's a difference between doing something quickly and wanting the most and doing something decent and actually can get the most. So there's different things when it comes to selling your property. Do that in order to get the most because you get the clients that comes into a property. Now they see here's a hole, there's this. If you move this, then that problem is there. So do that in order to get the most out of your property. Because you must not put yourself into the shoes of the buyer. Will you buy that property for R1 million if it's in the state that it is? You must put yourself in that shoes because that is what I normally tell my sellers. Put yourself in the buying position so that you can know, okay, I will buy this property because this is how it looks and this is what it offers. So all the properties, as I've mentioned, is different, but it depends on what you're willing to do to your property in order to get it up to the standard to get it sold. And then the other thing is when you do alterations to your property, it must be on an approved plan, especially when you build, when you change windows. I went to court for changing windows. Okay, I know I'm a registered agent, but at that time, that was many years back. At that time, I didn't know that was the requirement because I only literally just changed my windows. I didn't rebuild or restructure my whole house. I just swapped my windows. It was old windows, so I put in aluminium windows. So I had to go to court because I didn't know you had to have a plan just to change your window frames. So that is things you need to get to know so that you don't get into trouble. So things like that, changing your windows. I know some of the houses have the old steel frames. Even if you repaint it decently, get it nice again so that it can look nice when you want to sell. The wooden frames, get it treated. If it's broken, replace it. Replace windows, replace your light fittings and light bulbs because lightning makes a difference when you get into a room. There's much light. White makes a place very looks very big and open and nice. So there's little things that you can do. Make your garden nice. Plant a few plants. Make it look fresh and home. Because when people get to a house, they want to see home. They don't just want to see a house. But you also get people that has got vision. Like myself, when I get into a property, I can exactly tell you what I will do to this property, even if it's broken apart. I will know. So you get sometimes people that tells you, no, don't worry about this and that. I will make this to the property. I will do that. I will do that. So there's a lot of things that you can do to improve a property to get the most out of it. But don't leave it raw and broken and yeah.
Lezanne, can you tell us what is a bond originator and why is it sufficient to use a bond originator?
Okay, so a bond originator, we as agents, or some agents make use of a bond originator because the bond originator makes the process easier and it doesn't affect your credit score when you make use of a bond originator. So when you go and apply on your own, maybe you feel comfortable with your own bank, and now your own bank maybe doesn't give you the finance that you need. Now you go to the next bank and the next bank and the next bank. That makes your credit score go down. So when you make use of a bond originator, the bond originator does one application to all the major banks and it doesn't affect your credit score. So therefore, it's better to do it through the bond originator. And the other benefit as well is the fact that the bond originator shops for the best bond for you as a client. So what the bond originator does is, say for instance, you are banking at Standard Bank and the bond originator gets approval for you at all the banks. But now Standard Bank maybe give you a lower interest rate or a lower bond amount, not what you actually need, and the others give you a better bond or better interest rate, then the bond originator basically disputes why is Standard Bank giving you that rate or that bond or whatever the case may be. So therefore the bond originator makes sure that you get the best bond with the best interest rate, which is the best for you as the buyer. So therefore it's best to work through a bond originator and not going directly to the bank. Say for instance, if the bank maybe offered you something already that's good on the table, there's a good offer for you on the table with a good interest rate, then it's fine, then it's okay because then you already have the approval. But if you get declined and you shop around at different banks on your own, that will basically deflate your credit score.
Alright. So, Lezanne, we just want to hear some motivational words that you can leave for the youth.
Okay, so what I would basically tell the youth is that get a head start early enough so that you don't have to struggle or don't wait till you get into a bad situation where you have to remedy yourself or where you get a backlog in your life because if you take too long, you waste time. So don't waste time. Do things as soon as possible. Don't postpone it for next year. No, I'll do it when I'm older. No, I'll do it when I have the money. Try to get a head start in advance so you don't have to fall into the trap where you gonna end up as a backyard dweller or in your family home or whatever the case may be. So do things so that you can benefit yourself at the end of the day and so that you can be advanced early enough and not wait till things are bad. Because there are opportunities, there are the FLIS is there to assist you. We as agents are there to encourage you and also to guide you through the process. Make contact with us. We are mobile. You can WhatsApp us. You can follow us on TikTok. You can follow us on Facebook. So wherever you possible can get information, the right information, get it as soon as possible so that you can have a head start and not wait till things are bad.
Thank you, Lezanne, for your time. And yeah, guys, please do not forget to like and subscribe and also comment. And we'll see you in the next episode.